Hello, darlings. Welcome to Narc Free Formula. My name's Freedom. Thank you for joining me. In tonight's episode, I want to talk about time and what time means to the narcissist and how they use time. It's an interesting thing. Before I go on, though, just quickly, if you like any of my videos, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. That'd be much appreciated. Okay, so when I first realized that my narcissist and I had a different kind of concept of time, I can't even remember what we were talking about, but something had come up which to me seemed like a huge amount of time. And he kind of said, it's just a drop in the ocean, compared to the life, a lifespan. And that seemed like a great kind of philosophical, way of viewing time at the particular point in time. However, I didn't really understand then that, he was a sociopath or psychopath. I didn't understand then about narcissism. And now that statement, and combined with the fact that he's a narcissist and sociopath, it makes it, very, very different. Here's another thing just quickly, all right? I've just written some notes down. So there's a few ways that the narcissist will use time. As we know, they do future faking. So, they talk about what you're going to do in the future together, where you're going to be. They talk about marriage and babies and, future plans, future dreams, whatever. And when you're hearing that stuff, you start thinking, oh, he's thinking long term. When he's talking about, you and I together, when we're old, on the front balcony together in our rocking chairs, you start thinking, okay, so yeah, he sees that we're going to be together forever. But what you don't realize is that is future faking. They're just telling you what you want to hear, pretending. But it's more to it than that. So we've got future faking, but there's also the fact that for them, time is a drop in the ocean. So they can wait years for their plans to come to fruition. They're very patient when it comes to their plans and their long-term goals. Their goals change all the time depending on, supply and access to supply and new supply and that kind of thing. But the thing is, they still do usually have, designs, put it that way, designs or plans on people, things, everything going on around them. And they've got patience to sit back and watch it all unfold. And as I said, it sounds like a good thing, but, combined with the narcissism, it's quite predatory. So with the future faking, one of the things that I noticed is when we've been together for a certain amount of time, whenever we fought and whenever I talked about leaving, getting away, going away, breaking up, he always brought it back to, we've been together for so long, whether it was 12 months, 10 years, he used that kind of concept that, because we'd invested time together, that, that in itself meant something really significant. And it worked, like it really worked. For me, I actually, started to think, well, I have spent so much time and energy and effort, and, he's right. Let's keep trying because, what's another 10 years, I've already spent 15 or whatever, so you just keep on trying. But the thing is, in actual fact, it's just a con. It's an absolute con, because when you do decide you can't handle one more minute and you have to get away from them, all of a sudden, those 14, 15, 20, whatever, how many years you spent, that all of a sudden has no significance now. None at all. You know, they've run off with new supply. You know, they've been with new supply for 2 weeks, and it's, you know, so much more important than, you know, your decade or so of time. I mean, it's really quite a surreal thing. So time spent together is not the same as, excuse me, time spent together is not the same as a commitment. You know, it's just time. So do not allow the narcissist to waste your time, because it's just a con. The whole thing is just a con. And this is the other thing also. So at the end of my relationship with the narcissist, I had caught him out on some sleazy kind of website, whatever. I can't even think, like Locanto or one of those kind of, you know, dating sites or whatever. So I'd kind of caught him out talking to this woman who was our age, and he was really embarrassed that I'd caught him out. That's the first thing. She was a bit of a downgrade, and he was really embarrassed about that. And we had this huge fight. And I remember him saying, it's really vulgar, but, you know, in this fight, he said something about, you know, if I wanted to get back at you, I would fuck a 20-year-old on the front lawn in front of you, or something really revoltingly vulgar. But what was interesting about that is that 9 months later, there is literally throwing this 20-something-year-old, or not on the front lawn, but, you know, he might as well have, you know, he quite literally, within us breaking up, within days of us breaking up, he's driving her around, bringing her around, you know, making sure she's in the car when he comes around, like literally throwing it, you know, in my face, under my nose, whatever. But what I found more interesting is just that, you know, this is like, you know, he spent 9 months plotting and, you know, and working towards his, you know, his goal of finding someone to either replace me or upset me with or whatever. But, you know, 9 months, that's a long time to waste. And so this is why I'm saying, you know, their concept of time is very different to us non-disordered folk. I think that sometime in the future we will realise that something to do with their wiring, you know, is not the same. There'll be something that we'll find out about narcissism and time. I mean, I know, you know, certain things are relative, I suppose, but this kind of idea of, you know, the passing of time, you know, that them deliberately putting a lot of weight on it, and, you know, holding, you know, saying it really means something. You know, we've spent this time together, you know, so we can't break up because we spent all this time together. And then yet 2 days later, all of a sudden, all that time doesn't mean a thing. It's all to do with object constancy and all that stuff as well. Like, it's quite complex, but I just wanted to talk about that kind of concept. You know, so it doesn't matter how much time you've spent with them or done with them. It doesn't matter. Don't waste any more of your precious time. That's the main thing. You know, so if you're sticking out with them because, you know, oh, we've been married for 10 years, 20 years, whatever, you know, it just doesn't mean a thing. Quite seriously, they can pick up with some, you know, chick from the deli down the road who they've known 2 weeks. You know, and they'll be holding her up in front of you saying that, you know, she's the love of my life. This woman that I've known for 2 weeks, love of my life. I mean, it's crazy making stuff. There's no doubt about it. Absolute crazy making stuff. And I'm sure we'll hear more about the inner workings of the narcissistic mind. But not tonight, darlings. All right. I'm going to head off. Thank you for joining me, and stay tuned for tomorrow's episode. Good night. Bye.